All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Whether you're watching now or you're watching after the fact, thank you for coming and for watching. So tonight kicks off a brand new summer series that I've created. That'll be about 5 or 6 weeks over this summer. Designed to just be totally free educational classes for you on fitness, nutrition, and general health. If you don't already know me, we haven't met, you don't know much about me. I'm Holly. I am the owner and founder of Renewal Fitness Coaching. I am a certified personal trainer, certified holistic nutritionist, certified group fitness instructor, yoga spin instructor. I am also a big natural health advocate. So I'm also a beauty counter consultant and a doTERRA essential oils advocate. So when I post and when I share things like this, you will hear components of all aspects of life that pertain to health and fitness. So a little bit about these classes real quick. Every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. I will be here live covering a different topic, again on fitness, nutrition, health. I have not fully solidified the schedule. I have a general idea of what I'm going to be doing. However, I do want some input from you. So if there are things that you really want to know about, you have burning questions, please share them with me. You can drop them in the comments during the live or after. And then if I feel like there's kind of a consensus that people really want to hear about a certain topic, then I can adjust the classes that I have coming up. But I will soon post a general list of the classes that I'm planning on having so you have an idea of what's coming up. All the classes, I'm going to try and keep them pretty short, so around a half hour. And please interact, please share questions, feedback, ideas, again, either during the event or after, because then I can go back and look at them and incorporate and make sure they get answered in future videos. So let's go ahead and dive in. Tonight's topic is going to be all about easy, simple food swaps that you can make to go from not so healthy foods, kind of unnatural, more man made foods, to natural, healthy, God made foods. So, why am I starting with this topic? Why are we kicking it off with this? I believe it is very important that when it comes to especially weight loss, but also just trying to live a healthier lifestyle, we need things that are easy. We like things that are easy. We're drawn to things that are easy. So it's really important to keep things simple. Sometimes people think they want like a massive diet plan or overhaul or some like challenge to do, but it tends to be too hard to commit to a lot of changes at once. We do a lot better with just little small things. So that's why tonight we're just going to cover basic swaps that you can make that aren't really going to take a whole lot of change to your life. It's not going to require a lot of difficulty or major grocery shopping or anything. Just so you have something really simple and tangible to go on to start making healthier changes, or even if you're already fairly healthy, maybe some other ideas for areas where you can still improve. This is also a great way so that you feel like weight loss and trying to get healthier are it's not so restrictive, right? Like I'm not trying to tell you, okay, overhaul your whole diet and take all the sugar out and all the processed food out and all the meat out and all these things, because that's overwhelming and we're, just as humans are usually not going to do that type of thing. So this is designed to make things very simple and manageable and not feel like you have to give up everything, that you're being really restricted with what you like and that you have to have all your favorite foods taken away. So why does all this matter too? Before we jump into this whole list of things, why does it matter? This is going to make weight loss easier for you. When you switch from less healthy foods to healthier foods, you're going to find that weight comes off easier. That is because our bodies are designed to process and to use God-made natural foods. So the things that already grow and exist in the earth, things like fruits and vegetables and grains and things like grass-fed organic meat products. Our bodies know what to do with that, and they can use that, and they're full of nutrients and minerals and vitamins and all these things that we need. When we eat things that are not so natural, a little bit more man-made, our body doesn't really know what to do with those. So it creates some stress in our bodies. It's harder to process, it's harder to digest. And usually those things are devoid of a lot of nutrients. They're devoid of fiber that help fill us up. They're things that are physical well-being. They are more inclined to contribute to diseases and physical ailments. Um, so, additionally, these are foods, natural God made foods, help to fight diseases. And most of the diseases that we are kind of all people in our world dealing with on a daily basis, things like heart disease and diabetes and high blood pressure, cancer, autoimmune diseases, a lot of the processed, more chemical laden foods, um, these these can be more uh, those type of foods contribute to these diseases, and healthy foods help to fight them. And these diseases are preventable, right? So the things that contribute to these diseases are things like food, as well as things like environment, stress, sleep, the toxins that we put in our body, that we put on our body, products that we use, plastics that we have in our house with food. All these things contribute to what's going on inside of our body. Our bodies are built basically from the food that we've eaten our whole lives, and then all of the kind of inevitable toxins in our world, like pollution and, again, products and things like that. So by switching to healthier foods, we not only make weight loss easier, but we make our whole entire health easier and better. And that is why I love what I do and why I'm passionate about what I do, is because people are constantly going to the hospital and taking medications for different things and dealing with pain and dealing with medical bills. And so many of these things can be fixed by just how we eat. Additionally, these foods are going to help to do things like give you more energy, give you clearer skin, help with hormone balance, reduce stress, reduce anxiety and depression, all kinds of things. So, really important for beyond weight loss that we be eating healthier. And I think this is very important because sometimes when we think about changing the foods that we eat, a lot of us can be thinking primarily aesthetically. We just want to look good. We want to weigh a certain weight on the scale. But it needs to go deeper than that. That's not always the best long-term motivation. But when you care about how you feel, you care about your health, you care about avoiding hospitals and doctors, there's a lot more motivation behind that. So keep that in mind as we go through these foods and the classes to come. I want your motivation to come from these deeper intrinsic places and not just your pant size or your skirt size and looking good, right? Those will be benefits too. Those will come with this. But let that not be your only motivation. Okay, now the last thing that I want to share before we get into this, to keep in mind as we go through these foods I'm going to share, is that portion size still matters. So even though we're trying to make the switch over to all healthy, natural, whole, organic type foods, it is still possible to gain weight by eating healthy food. It's a lot harder. Your body, like I said, just processes it better. So it's harder to gain weight on healthy food, but it's not impossible. And there are plenty of people out there who eat pretty healthy foods, but they still eat too much of it. So portion control and portion size still matters when it comes to eating healthy foods. Okay, so keep that in mind, that when we talk about something like whole grain pasta versus white pasta, that doesn't mean that now you can eat 2 servings of pasta. Okay, it still has calories. It's still, your body can only take so much at a time. So just keep that in mind, that portion control is still important even with healthy foods. And most importantly, you need to pay attention to how you feel. So if you are starting to feel full when you're eating, stop. That's a point where you need to stop. You don't want to stop eating after you already feel full or feel totally satisfied. When you're kind of like right at that point where you think, I could stop, but I could maybe eat a little bit more, that's pretty much where you need to stop eating, to avoid weight gain, but also just kind of those feelings of like bloat or indigestion or acid reflux, things like that. Okay, so with all of that being said, I'm going to take a quick sip of water. And then let's dive into this list. Okay. So, just so you know, I have this list available if you would like to receive it, since I can't actually show it on the screen to you. If you'd like to get it after the fact, shoot me your email, and I'll address that at the end too. But just let me know if you'd like to receive this list. You can have it on hand. Okay, so I'm going to mention first the unhealthy man-made foods, and then I'm going to give you the healthier and more God-made alternatives that we should be eating. Okay, so let's start with white rice. You can easily swap out white rice for brown rice. Super simple. You can also do other grains like quinoa or barley, things like that. But those are some really easy swaps. I like to do quinoa a lot in the Instant Pot because it has the same setting as white rice. So nothing changes, the cooking doesn't change, you cook it exactly the same. It's just a much healthier grain full of fiber and nutrients. But again, if you just like the rice texture, brown rice is great. Okay, white bread. Instead of white bread, you can swap that out for either a whole grain, but even better is sprouted bread. So something like Ezekiel bread. This has less processing, more nutrients, better for kind of gut health, better for overall health. So sprouted bread is a really good option. So look for the Ezekiel brand. White tortillas. Okay, so there's kind of a theme here of white, right? The reason why I'm addressing things kind of as white and why you don't want those in your diet, if you don't already know, is the white foods are very processed. Basically, all the nutrients are removed from them for the most part. Sometimes they get added back in to kind of help fortify us, but basically all the good stuff is taken out. The fiber is taken out that fills us up, a lot of the vitamins and nutrients, and we just get left with the carbohydrates. Basically, that's all you get, and they have more of an impact on your insulin, your blood sugar, things that contribute to things like diabetes and heart disease and weight gain. So a lot of these things are swapping out white versions of food that are very processed to the very minimally processed version of it, okay? So rather than white, like flour tortillas, go for whole grain tortillas, or there's so many new options out there now of things like almond flour tortillas, spinach or veggie tortillas. There's also things like non-GMO corn tortillas. So corn tortillas aren't horrible, but they need to be non-GMO because corn is like the most genetically modified, basically horrible food for you now. It was natural, but it's so modified and like sprayed with chemicals now that it's terrible for you. So if you're gonna eat corn, make sure it's non-GMO. But there's so many varieties now of healthy tortillas that you can find. Just make sure you check the package, okay? Look at the ingredient list on the back because sometimes there's things like veggie wraps, and you look at them and still the first few ingredients are like enriched white flour, sugar, things like that. So make sure you're getting something that truly is made with vegetables or with, almond flour, whatever it may be. You can also make these at home as well. White pasta. Exchange out your white pasta for, again, whole grain pasta, or even better, something that is gluten-free like rice pasta or lentil pasta or cauliflower pasta. Again, there's so many options now in the market because of all the gluten-free diets that are very similar in texture and taste. So it's really not a big deal, I don't think, to switch from your white pasta to anything else that's much healthier. And especially things like lentil pasta or cauliflower pasta, you get the nutrients of beans or vegetables in there too, which is awesome. Okay, so then let's switch a little bit to like restaurant foods. So if you want something like a taco or a burrito from a restaurant, instead make it at home. So this is like a key tip for weight loss, weight management, and health. Rather than eat out, make the same food that you want to go out for, make it at home. Just do a homemade version. You won't feel really deprived much at all, and you'll get far more nutrients. You get to control what goes into it, and you will get way less calories, I can guarantee you, and less sugar and less fat and less salt. So instead of like a restaurant taco or burrito, make it at home. Use the healthier tortillas we just talked about. Make some ground turkey, put tons of spices in there, and then add veggies. Put some spinach or some lettuce, add some peppers, tomatoes, things like that. Top it with salsa or avocado. Make them at home. Refried beans. Instead of refried beans, do black beans. How about Chinese food? Instead of Chinese food, make your own at home. Again, make your brown rice and then do a homemade stir fry. Just use a little bit of coconut aminos in place of soy sauce and just saute up some chicken and veggies. Or find, go on Google and look up healthy orange chicken or whatever it is that you like, of Chinese food, cashew chicken, all these different types of things. You can find a healthier recipe for it online. Just make it at home instead. Things like hot dogs or sausages, switch that over for chicken sausage or veggie sausages, which you can find at just about any store these days. Pizza. We all love pizza, right? Instead of pizza, there are two different options. So say you go out to a restaurant. Again, a lot of restaurants now have gluten-free. They have whole grain or at least whole wheat. Side note, whole grain is preferred over whole wheat. But a lot of restaurants will have whole wheat pizza crust. Nowadays, a lot of people have cauliflower pizza crust. So if you're going out for pizza, you can do that and get like a veggie pizza with a bunch of veggies on it. It's not just cheese and meat. But much better is to make it at home. There are some frozen versions you can get from Costco or Sprouts or whatever that are much better, or you can just make it at home, make your own dough, or get like a frozen, whole wheat dough or cauliflower crust, and make it at home. You can also do things like pita pizza. So getting like a whole wheat pita, covering it with your sauce and your cheese and your veggies. When you do it at home, you're able to add tons more vegetables. You can reduce the cheese. You can put on a lot more sauce. And honestly, you can add herbs and things that kind of it usually tastes better, to be honest. Like my husband and I don't even go out to eat that much anymore because we're like, we can make everything better at home. Like we can make it taste exactly the way we want, fill it up with spices and herbs and all kinds of things, and most of the time it tastes better than restaurant food. Okay, restaurant burgers. Say you want to go out for like burger and fries. Rather than that, again, just do it at home. Get some ground turkey and make burgers, or do like a grass-fed organic beef or bison burger or something like that. Make it at home, and even better, do a lettuce wrap. So skip the like white buns and just do a lettuce wrap, or you can just do it totally open faced. Just put, tomato and maybe a little bit of cheese or ketchup or whatever it is you like on your burger, and just do it that way. And then instead of fries, again, make homemade fries. You can cut up white potatoes or sweet potatoes and just sprinkle them with some salt, pepper, paprika, use some olive oil or avocado oil, and bake them. They come out delicious, and you can do those at home, do a little burger and fries at home. Things like fried chicken. Instead of fried chicken, opt for grilled chicken. So this would apply at a restaurant, go for grilled instead of fried, or if you want to make it at home, there are recipes for some great like fake fried chicken where you basically do it at home, and you dip it in egg or whatever, and then coat it in like almond flour and coconut, or like a nut flour of some type, and then it kind of gives you this crispy outside, so it mimics fried chicken without all the calories and the fat and the rancid oils, basically. Plus, cooking things at home, you're going to save a heck of a lot of money because you're going to get leftovers too, and you don't have to spend all the money and the taxes and the tipping and all that stuff of going out. Okay, how about condiments? So how about instead of mayonnaise, go for something like mustard, way lower calories, tons of flavor, or if you really want kind of that like fattier flavor, go avocado, go with hummus, put something like that on instead of mayo. Instead of cooking with vegetable oil is probably one of the worst things you can eat or cook with. So instead, swap that out for olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, grapeseed oil. There's a lot of oils that are much better, especially if you are cooking with it. Like if you're sauteing or you're frying or something like that. Vegetable oils and even olive oil have low heat points. So if you cook on too high of heat, it will kind of destroy it and create a rancidity and make it carcinogenic. So coconut oil, avocado oil, and grapeseed oil all have higher heating points. So they're really good for like your stovetop cooking. Okay, instead of processed nut butters, if you like peanut butter or almond butter, skip those and go with the all natural nut butters. So the ones that have like some oil in there that you have to stir up, go with those. The back of the ingredient should either only say peanuts or cashews or almonds, or maybe that and salt. But anything that has sugar or extra oils or anything like that, avoid those, especially if there's anything partially hydrogenated in there. In place of sugar, opt instead for stevia, monk fruit, honey, or even cinnamon. Cinnamon has a very sweet taste to it, and sometimes, depending on what you're eating or baking, that becomes a great substitute. If you're baking, then you probably want to use something like monk fruit that's a granulated sugar or allulose. Um, those are some of the good like sugar, like a granulated substitute. But if you're just having like tea or you just want a little bit of sweetness in a smoothie or whatever it is, then liquid things like stevia or honey are great. Um, okay, and then how about in place of things like coffee or tea? They're very caffeinated, right? Like we're a very hyped up caffeinated society, and caffeine is pretty destructive in this day and age where we're already stressed out pretty much all the time. You don't need more caffeine taxing your adrenal glands and making you anxious and stressed out. So really try to ditch the caffeine. And instead of things like black tea or regular coffee, try to go decaf. Or even something like, I've put a lot of posts up about something like mud water, which is a totally coffee-free alternative. And then with black tea, go instead with green tea or herbal tea. Green tea still has some caffeine in it, but it has many health benefits for many different things. Or herbal teas that again are filled with health benefits. So try to cut out the caffeine. And again, if you want to sweeten it, just use a little bit of stevia or something like that. So in place of like your coffee creamers, get rid of like the coffee mate and stuff like that. Instead, opt for, if you want like a creamy kind of thing, just do heavy cream and a little bit of stevia or honey or something like that. And yeah, just try and get rid of any of the processed stuff. And nowadays there's also a bunch of like powdered creamers that are made with MCT oil and things like that. So those can be really good too. All right, still on drinks, let's talk about soda. So soda is just about the worst thing you could probably put in your body. Definitely up there at the top of the list. And part of that is because you take in so many calories at once. So instead of soda, opt for sparkling water. Or you can also try something like Zevia. They have this at Sprouts and Whole Foods. It's basically a carbonated water that's flavored and sweetened with stevia. So it's a much better soda option. Soda is like the quickest way to gain weight, contribute toward diabetes, all these things. There's nothing good about it, and all it's gonna do is harm your health. So get rid of soda for sure and opt for something without calories and without sugar. All right, so cereal. Let's ditch the cereal and instead replace that with oatmeal. Instead of bagel and cream cheese, instead you could do something like avocado toast. So whether you like that for breakfast or a snack or whatever, that's a good replacement for something like a bagel and cream cheese. Speaking of other cheeses, instead of things like cheddar cheese, opt instead for goat cheese, or even better, anything that's a raw cheese. So raw cheeses are not pasteurized, so they're actually more of like a fermented food, which makes them a little bit better for your gut. So they have more benefits to them. And then things like goat cheese have smaller fat molecules, they're easier to digest, they're lower calories. So opt for those instead of like your mozzarella or jack cheese or cheddar cheese. Cheese dips, if you like those, you can replace that with a cashew cheese dip. You can make that at home. You just basically soak cashews and then you can make like a nacho cheese dip or different things like that. That can also work for things like macaroni and cheese. Just Google that. You can look up like cashew cheese recipes and you'll find all kinds of stuff. Instead of eating romaine lettuce salads, I know people always think salads are healthy. They're not necessarily, especially if they're just like romaine lettuce and cheese and tomatoes. You're not really getting much out of that. But instead, swap that out for dark leafy greens. These are one of the most healthiest foods you can eat. So spinach, kale, arugula, things like that. Dark leafy greens, swap those out. Instead of canned veggies, eat fresh or frozen veggies, always. Frozen veggies are usually flash frozen, like when they still have plenty of nutrients and they're great. So there's no real like health harm in eating frozen veggies. They're great and they obviously last much longer than fresh veggies. So ditch the canned veggies that are full of salt and are usually in like a BPA can and just have really lost a lot of their nutrients. They're still better than nothing, but try to always go for fresh or frozen instead. Okay, snacky type food. So instead of like chips or other random afternoon snacks that you might find around the office or that you just kind of pick at home, crackers and chips and cookies and things like that, opt instead for nuts. Nuts are, again, super healthy in so many ways and beneficial to your health, and they make for a great snack. They're filling, they have protein and fat in them, and go with a variety. Mix it up because they all have different benefits to them. So, cashews, almonds, pistachios, pecans, walnuts, pumpkin seeds. Those aren't a nut, but seeds and nuts. Mix those up and eat those instead for your snacks. I'd be same for your kids too. If you're packing snacks for your kids, try to give them nuts if they're not allergic, which a lot of kids are to things like peanuts or cashews. But do that instead of chips. And then instead of popcorn, like your typical microwave popcorn or movie popcorn, do instead either like a homemade air popcorn, or just, if you're a little bit lazier like me, go with something like Skinny Pop. You can get it practically any store. Now there's things like Skinny Pop and also tons of other non-GMO, much health friendlier popcorns that are low calorie, non-GMO, gluten-free, all the things. So look for something like that at the grocery store instead, that aren't covered in butter and oil and all of that. And then when it comes to sweets, I know I have a sweet tooth. Well, my sweet tooth isn't too bad now because I have switched to healthier food, so I don't crave a lot of sweets anymore. But it used to be. But chocolate is my favorite. And so instead of like a candy bar, opt instead for just plain dark chocolate. It might take a little bit of getting used to, but once you make that swap, it will taste good. So go for something like a 75-80% dark chocolate and just eat a couple of pieces rather than a whole candy bar or something. At least you're getting a little bit of antioxidants in. And then in place of things like pie, you can do something like warm up some berries and drizzle on a little bit of like a dark chocolate on top, or take some heavy cream and whip it up yourself and put that on top of the berries for a nice little dessert. You can also do like cinnamon baked apples at home, and top it with the same, like maybe homemade whipping cream, or just have them plain. Do that for kind of your sweet tooth at night. If you're more of like an ice cream person, then do nice cream. So this is something where you basically take frozen bananas, put them in a blender, and you can mix in other things like you can add some nuts in there. You can put peanut butter in or cashew butter. Add in some other fruits if you want to. Basically, just take frozen fruit, put it in a blender. You can add a little bit of milk if you need for consistency, like an almond milk or something. And mix that up, and it comes out very much like ice cream. And then you can add toppings and kind of make it taste the way you want to. I also didn't mention milk earlier, but get rid of like your whole dairy cow milk. Swap that out for almond milk, rice milk, cashew milk. Again, there's so many options now. But go for something that is not like that. Doesn't even matter if I was gonna say full fat dairy. It doesn't even matter if it's full fat. Just get rid of the cow's milk stuff and the processed milks and dairy. They're really hard on your system, and just a lot of other negative side effects to those. So switch to the plant-based milks. Okay, and then when it comes to like store-bought or restaurant brownies or cookies, or like your typical stuff on the grocery store shelves, instead, one, either go to the store and go to like a Sprouts or Whole Foods if you want to make something like cookies or brownies at home, and find something that's like gluten-free or keto or paleo, because normally these things have far healthier ingredients. Normally if they're going to be like keto or paleo, they're probably also going to be gluten-free, non-GMO, low sugar, very few like processed foods. They're usually much healthier. So that's a better option. For cookies or brownies, or just make them at home. There are tons of recipes of things for healthier cookies and brownies or cakes or whatever you want at home, and you can find them online. There's avocado puddings, like a chocolate avocado pudding. There's brownies that you can make with zucchini or with black beans or with all kinds of substitutes that sound weird, but they're actually really good. So there's tons of options for when you have that sweet tooth. Just again, keep in mind, even if you're eating banana ice cream or your own homemade brownies, they still have calories in them. They still have a lot of sugar in them, depending on what you're using. So don't eat 4 brownies just because you made them at home or they're a keto recipe or something. They still are packed full of calories, so they still should be made in small portions. And what I like to do at home if I'm doing this if I'm really craving it, but I realize I don't want to eat like a full pan of brownies in the next 3 days, is you can just put, keep a quarter of it fresh for you and your spouse, your roommates, or whatever, and then put the rest in the freezer. And then whenever you want one, you can just take out one or two at a time and warm them up in the microwave or just defrost them in the fridge. That's a really good way to handle it if you're going to be baking at home, is stick stuff in the freezer so that you're not just going to keep grabbing at it. Okay, so that is actually everything that I have for you right now. There's plenty of other food swaps you can make. So if you have other foods that you love and you're like, oh, how can I trade this out for something healthier? Please, you can send me a message or just put it in the comments underneath this video so that I can respond back to you in the comments, or I'll touch on it in a future class, but I'll probably just message you back to let you know. But if you're asking it, someone else probably has the same thought. So any questions about making healthier food swaps, please leave them down below so that I can help you and we can all kind of learn from each other. Okay, one more sip of water and then I'm going to wrap this up. If you would like this list to kind of refer back to and help you out, just leave your email down below in the comments, or you can send it to me in a direct message and I will get this emailed out to you. Additionally, for any of these live events, if you attend the whole class, every time you come, you will get an entry into a free consult with me. And that will be a 30-minute consult. We can talk nutrition, we can talk fitness, we can talk health, whatever your preference is. Totally free consult. I'm going to pick 2 winners over the course of these classes. So every time you come and stay for the class, you will be entered in to a drawing for a free consult. So make sure that you put your name in the comments right after this finishes so that I know who is here. Make sure I don't miss anyone. Okay, and then next week I will be back at 6:30 on Thursday night, and we're going to talk a little bit about what to eat besides just these healthy swaps, what you need to eat for weight loss and health, as well as how much. So like calorie counting, depending on if you're trying to lose weight or trying to maintain or even gain some muscle, and the best type of diet for you, right? So there's a lot of diets out there right now. What's best for you? So we're going to hit on the topic of what you should be eating and how much next Thursday at 6:30. And then again, if you have any feedback on things that you would like to hear about and learn about, please either send those to me in a message on this Facebook page in my direct messages, or just leave a comment down below and I will try to incorporate it into the future classes. All right, so thank you for attending. Thanks for watching this, and please share this with others if you know someone who might benefit from this. Please share it, spread the love, and let other people know that these classes are happening, since they are totally free and full of good information that I get asked about all the time. So again, thanks for being here and enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll see you next week.